All right, brothers. Good to see you guys again. We're back in the Prism Way Studios.
Yeah.
Working we're on the Hope and 12 podcast right
Yeah,
here in
man.
downtown Los Angeles.
Yes,
We
sir.
got one of our brothers here that works with us. He's new to the podcast, Frank. He'll introduce himself in a minute.
What up, Frank?
Let's just go
Hi.
ahead and my
Hey.
name is Raymond Shepard. I'm a former lifer, did 23 years, and CGA was a big part of my recovery. So that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, my name is Boanergez. I did 13 years on a 35 to life sentence, and I'm a co-facilitator here at the Prism Way
Really
for the
good.
CGA class. With my awesome co-facilitator, young Bobby. You know what I mean?
Thank you for the young.
Yeah, I keep you young, bro. I gotta keep you young.
Amen.
I think someone needs to go to denial management.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Let's-
yeah. That's another class, you know.
All right, my name is Frank Garcia. I did 19 years on a 40 years to life sentence. For me, CGA was like something that it sparked something inside me that helped me change, right? And working the steps that like totally put things in perspective for me and my addiction to the lifestyle. I didn't even know it was an addiction until I took CGA. So
Yeah,
it's been real helpful for me.
that's right.
Yeah.
My name is Bobby Kimbrough. I'm a CGA facilitator here at this awesome place called the Prism Way.
Yeah.
I just came home from doing 25 years.
How long you
off
been
of
out?
2 life sentences. I've been home for 10 months.
10 months.
Yeah, and I'm plugged into the solution.
That's right.
Nice.
But Neris, how long you been out?
A year now.
Year? What about you, Frank?
4 months.
I'm going on 2 years in June, so we're still,
Amen.
I'm glad we're still plugged into CJ because
Yeah.
one of the reasons we got out. But just to let our audience know, I just want people to understand that these three gentlemen sitting here with us in this podcast, they're experts at CGA. They lived it, they breathed it inside, and now they're living and breathing it outside, and they're helping people find their way, you know? Let's start off. So we're doing step 5 today. Bob, can you explain step 5?
Yes. So with step 5, right, it is admitted to God, to ourselves, and someone we trusted the exact nature of our wrongs. And after really applying step 4, you ready to do step 5.
Right.
After you done really apply step 4, you done made the list. You done made the list of the resentments, the wrongs, and the rights and stuff. So now today, you looking at that list, and the person that you are is not sitting well with you, me. And so I want to do something about it. And I'm trusting in God, I'm trusting in myself, and I'm trusting in the sponsor. Somebody, one of my accountability partners. I gotta find somebody to, to vent to get this off my chest.
Right.
So I admitted to God, to myself, and the exact nature of my wrongs to somebody that I trust. And with this, a burden is lifted off my shoulder. I'm no longer, the guilt has made me come forth to my God, to myself, and somebody I trust, one of my peers.
Right.
And with this, now the person that I'm admitting to has already been my step 2, has walked this path before me. So now they know how to give me that advice on how to continue to make these amends, how to continue to be better, and not let that guilt and shame eat me up. God, knowing the God that I know is forgiving, and with me admitting to myself, it's like I'm continue to bring it to my conscience and be aware that this list right here don't have to continue to just define me. And with that, step 5 is helping me to put it into action.
Right. There's something like, so for a long time, I mentioned with you guys before that I struggle with the word God in it because of the conflict I had, right? So I made all those promises I told you guys before. I made a lot of promises to God when I first caught the sense, and then I ended up breaking those promises, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said I'll never disrespect God like that again until I was ready, right? So God always, because it was in the steps, it prevented me from working it correctly, right? But now that I'm back in touch with God and I gave my will to Him, step 5 is repentance, man. Basically, you're admitting the exact natures of your wrong, the exact wrong of your nature, right? But to me, it's like important. A lot of people need to know that, man, because if you can't admit what you've done or you have a problem, how you gonna fix it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So this step is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
know?
You still in denial. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
now
So
That's why I was talking about that age thing earlier. You know what I mean? So Bobby looks like a young buck right now.
Thank
Look at
you,
him.
my
Yeah.
brother.
Bobby,
You know what
well
I mean?
preserved, man.
And
Yes.
and for me, like God, right? A lot of people like have a bad thought about it because they don't adhere to like standard Christianity or whatever form of religion, right? And that kind of turns them off
Mm-hmm.
from working it. But how we advise it is God could be anything.
Right.
It be anything that's your higher power, you know.
Right.
So that's what to go with. You know, it don't have to be like standard religion. So
Right.
that's an
Right.
important part of the step.
I tried, it's interesting just from my own perspective. I tried that approach, right? I tried like the good orderly direction. Remember they used the acronym, right? I tried all that, and it wasn't until I actually got back into my relationship with God that it actually now they work. That's just for me. I can't explain for anybody else, but I noticed that's key. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
they put them in there for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to touch on religion. I always tell people I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. You know what I mean? So if that's important though for people who struggle first coming into the steps. It's important to at least grasp onto something greater than yourself. You know what I mean? So Boanergez, how did you work step 5 when you were incarcerated?
Step 5, I had to first, go through the first 4 steps, and I had to like apply all those things, and which was the build up to get into step 5, and step 4, actually, you write down all those resentments, those wrongs you've done, even the good things, and then you see your wrongs, and you're like, I don't want to continue another paper or a new set of wrongs that I've done. So let me first deal with everything that I've done in the past by asking for God's forgiveness and admitting those wrongs. You know what I mean? So and understanding that my faith in God, understanding that He has forgiven me for everything. So I have to be able to forgive myself,
Was
and
that
then I can move forward.
Not to interrupt you, but you're talking about knowing that God forgave you. How important was that for you?
It was really important because for a long time I didn't forgive myself for all the things I've done. So because I couldn't forgive myself for all the things that I've done, all the people that I harmed, the crime I committed, that destroyed the life of the survivor of my crime, it was hard for me to move forward. I couldn't move forward. I couldn't move on with my life with change because I was so stuck on what I did. And
Like shame and guilt.
exactly, you know what I mean? And understanding that God has forgiven me, you know what I mean, for all my past wrongs now and even in the future, you know what I mean, gives me that freedom to say, okay, if He forgives me and He loves on me, I should be able to forgive myself and love myself enough to give myself another chance at being a better person. So that was critical for me because once I understood that, then I was able to move forward and start admitting my wrongs and the things that I've done to the people that I harm.
Right.
And that's why I was able to start my journey while incarcerated, doing a CGA class, and then understanding what I needed to do. What was my next step? My next step was to start, admitting my wrongs, like specifically the things that I've done to people. Because at times we can ask for apologies and we can ask for forgiveness, but we're not specific in the forgiveness or the things that have been done. We're just saying like, oh, my bad for making you mad or I offended you, but really I apologize for taking away your peace. You know what I mean? Destroying your trust. You know what I mean? So and actually robbing you of your joy or whatever the case may be, and just being specific on the wrongs that we made. You know what I mean? Is actually very important.
Like, Frank, let me ask you this, just to piggyback off what Boanergez said, right? How easy is it to do that, to admit and say it out loud and write it on paper your actual wrongs you committed?
For me, that was the most difficult part because finally, like admitting to something that made it true. So for me, like growing up in that lifestyle and that way of thinking, that belief, like I just did things thinking that I was right with what I did, right? But when I started doing the work, now I'm knowing that what I was doing was wrong, and then finally admitting it makes it real. And that's the part that hurts me and makes me feel a certain way, because it's like the reality was I was a bad person, and I never admitted it to myself. And being able to write it down and finally admit that was a big part of, and a step in my change, and realizing my faults and the person of who I used to be and never wanting to be that. So that step was crucial in showing me that.
Yeah, when I did that step, right, I realized how desensitized I was, right? Like in order for us to keep committing, doing what we were doing, like keep committing acts inside prison after we were already sentenced to life, but still engaging in that behavior, I realized the only way I could do that is if I didn't face what I've done to other people, or I didn't really look at it and see the harm I've done, right? And so that's why I think that step's super important. It's super hard. So for anyone that hasn't done CGA and is interested, when you get to this point, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But you just gotta take an honest look at it in order to move past it, because there ain't no skipping steps.
Yeah.
That's the importance. Like I know throughout so far the episodes we recorded, you guys are very adamant about this step leads to this step, and there's a reason for the steps, you know. But it's interesting because for a long time I would skip steps, or I would breeze through the steps, and then I was getting no results. But that's the reason for it, you know.
Yeah, that step is crucial, right? Because you know, when you spiritually like in tune, and you actually walking out these spiritual principles, you start to be conscious of, the things that you done to people that they didn't know about. You know what I mean? And now it's playing in your head because your conscience is telling you that, you should admit those things too. And you're like, well, they don't know about it. Ain't no reason for me to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But it actually, for me personally, relieved me from, the shame and, just feeling, that negative emotions of, that I'm holding something, in about somebody that I did something to. And, I was liberated when I was able to admit wrongs that people didn't even know about that I did to them. You know what I'm saying? And that was the hardest part because, my human nature was telling me that, there's no reason, no point for me to even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And, me being able to express that wrong, was able to give them some type of closure, something that they was already thinking, they just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So that step is real tough, you know what I'm saying? Because it get deeper than what we're hearing or reading on that pamphlet. It's like, it gets real personal.
Yeah, you have to face reality, you know. So I noticed that along the way when we start to change, things don't sit well with us anymore.
Yeah,
and we start to beat ourselves up, and like, and then you start to, it's easier for you to admit something, especially when you're working step 10, which we'll get to later down the road. Frank, now that you're free, right? Now that you've been home, what'd you say, 5 months?
4 months.
4 months. How do you work step 5, and is it even important to work that step?
Nah, for me, it is important. And going back on how the steps are in order, like you cannot work 5 without 4, or 4 without 3. Everything's in order for a reason, right? And for me, in conjunction with step 4, it helped me realize like all the bad things and negativity and things I've done and wanting to do right. So getting out, like, even though I'm out here, I'm trying to do good and everything, and sometimes you fall into these thoughts or these feelings and things like that. And I always have to keep in mind, like, look, like you never want to go back to being that person or harming or doing something wrong, even if it's just a thought. So trying to go into the root of things. And for me, like in that lifestyle and that belief system that I help in step 3, we talk about that belief systems, right? So the belief system of a criminal gang member in the past, like we never want to admit to nothing, to nobody. Like I'm admitting to God, myself, or anybody the things I've done. You know, like that's just our code. You know, even in court, like we're not admitting
You
to
don't want to
nothing.
tell on yourself.
Yes,
basically,
like I'm not saying nothing, right? And even if you're caught dead bang, I'm not admitting to that. Like, no, I didn't do that. You're on camera. I don't know what you're talking about, right? So for me, it's crucial to be able to stop and admit that to God, you know, my higher power, and something, because for me, like the higher power thing, right, it is something that will make you do good, right, and want you to do good, and it'll always be there to keep you on that path. It could be an apple for all, you know what I mean? It's just something that is motivating to you to such an extreme that it's outside of yourself, right? For me, that's what's important. God is outside, right? And then asking myself too, that's how I see it, you know, and myself within, right? It's telling me, like, and admitting to myself, like, look, man, you can't do that, or you shouldn't be thinking that, or you shouldn't be having thoughts or feelings. So help keeps me on check. And then whenever I do, like, have things, I had a conversation with Boanergez, matter of fact, a few weeks ago, like, about something, you know, and I was like, look, man, this is happening, or this happened, and like, you know, he counseled me through it. Like, look, bro, like, this is what it is. Like, you don't, you know what I mean? From this point on, you don't have to go further than that. And I was like, yeah, you're right, you know, and that, you know, this community, this circle, you know, you guys, you help me a lot. You keep me, it's checks and balances for me, like having that community, and being able to reach out to people when you're having moments, you know.
Straight up.
And for me, I still work these steps out here. It helps me humble myself, and keeps me on path, because being released back into society is like, who am I as a person? When the last time I was out here, I was a gang member, I was a criminal, I was a drug addict, I was all these negative things, and finding myself today, who I am as the person I developed in prison, and these new beliefs, and where do I fit into society today?
It's scary, man.
It's hard, and it's scary, but like when you have the support of your community, and CGA also helping work in these steps, it keeps you in line. You know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's an important point you made on, you know, identity, our new identity coming out. And that's the beauty of working here at the Prism Way, is that we could take the new transformed us and like basically use that all those same skill sets we were using to change, and continue to use it in the work to help others. That's the beauty of it. That's why I like working here, because it's a bit, like you said, we have a built-in community here, you know, and this is what we're used to. We're used to being surrounded by people like us to change, not only in the bad, but also in the good. And that's the importance that's why CGA group's important. That's why people who come here keep coming, because they could relate. The relatability part's the most important thing. You know what I mean? Because we had trust issues, you know. But I want to ask you, like, piggybacking on Frank, right? He was talking about some of the thoughts that he still has, right? And we discussed this before, if we still had those thoughts, remember? So, like, today, how do you deal with those thoughts using step 5? Like, because, like, pretty much we're not perfect, right? We went through all that work inside, and we got to a point to earn our freedom, but we come out here and we still have a lot of that residue pop up.
Struggle.
You know, what do you do with those thoughts when they come up?
Man, just that. Talk to God, to myself, and someone I trusted. You, Boanergez, and Fred is like a major outlet, especially Fred. I can call him. He be sleep, and I just get to vent to him, and it's like a relief. It's like a relief, because knowing the friend, the accountability partner, the sponsor I got in y'all, I finna find that healing. I finna find that right answer. It might not be what I'm looking for, but it's what I need. You know what I'm saying? And then talking to God first, he gonna lead me to y'all. You know what I'm saying? You got a minute? Something like that. Text y'all. Man, I need to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doing that right there. But me, man, it's also, man, how strong that serenity prayer is too, man. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just saying that over and over and over and over and over. Like, it's like, man, it ain't just something to run through.
Let me ask you, the board asked me this question. What's the most important part of the serenity prayer?
To accept the things I cannot change. In the church, it's like,
out of the 3 parts, there's 3 parts to, right?
Yeah.
Out of all of them, what's the most important?
Grant me serenity, to me. Grant me that peace.
For me, it would be the last part. Is having wisdom know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy because they hit me with that question out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I answered it right away. But it's knowing when to accept it or not, or walk
Yeah.
away. Like knowing which one you're gonna use in that moment.
Right.
But the serenity, I mean, obviously the serenity part's important. But
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. They hit me out of nowhere with that, and if I would have failed it, who knows if I would have been home. Sometimes they hit you with the trick questions.
Yeah,
He
Um,
said, I failed it.
yeah. So like, for all you guys, I will start with you, Bob. Is it important, or do you think it's necessary for us to keep working the step now that we're home?
Hell yeah, that's like vital to my peace. That's vital to my mental and physical freedom. And I say that because I know what the step did for me, and I know what I don't want, and I don't want that guilt and shame no more. So understanding what step 5 is, and understanding like how step 5 is helping me to continue with this, no longer continue with this step 4 and move forward to step 6. Yeah, it's important. It's important that all them before that continue every day.
Right. What about you, Frank?
no, it's super important because, like you're saying, like it works in concert with the next step. So you have to work them all depending on situations and things that come up in life. You just, oh well, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna bounce over here. Whether it's your defect of character, your belief system, admitting, or your inventory. Like you have a tool for everything that comes up in life
Right.
through the 12 steps,
Yeah.
right?
Man. Yeah, it ain't just important, it's critical.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's critical because
Yeah.
that's a part of our accountability, you know what I'm saying? And taking responsibility for our actions and the things that we done. That was the main part that the board want to hear is, do you take accountability for your actions and all the things that you done and all the people that you harm? You know what I'm saying? Do you have that remorse? You know what I mean? So, being able to admit your wrongs to God, you know what I'm saying? To my Lord and Savior Christ, you feel me? And then being able to tell somebody, you know what I'm saying, the harm that I committed is basically showing my remorse in action, you know what I'm saying? Because there is no remorse without, change, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's critical because we imperfect and we gonna mess up all the time and we got flaws, you know what I'm saying? And we always gonna be failing and making mistakes and bad decisions, and we have to be conscious of those choices we make, and then being able to confront those decisions we made and say, that I was wrong, you know what I mean? And understanding that God is forgiving, you know what I'm saying? And we can move forward and learn from our past mistakes and be better the next day. So when it comes down to it, man, it's all about our relationship with God. For me personally, it ain't no religion. I have a relationship with my higher power, and understanding that God gave me a community, a positive one. Yeah. And I had to utilize that and understand that they there for me, you know what I'm saying? And, in the past, I used to just isolate myself and not talk about the things that I was going through, and not and being in denial of feeling like I did anything wrong, you know what I'm saying? So that's this step is critical out here, you know what I mean? Just like it was when we was locked up.
Yeah. So I know some people that got out, right? You guys know some of them, and they didn't stay connected to what got them home.
Yeah.
Right? Community, support network, and like they went into other fields of work and what have you, and don't attend any groups. And I watched them slowly slip back into that lifestyle, even though they're not doing exactly what got them to prison in the first place.
Yeah.
But they're like, they got one foot in the door, back in the old door.
Yeah.
And I notice it, and I'm asking myself why. I'm observing them, studying them. And it's because they're not connected and they're not doing the work anymore. Yeah. It took us a long time to get to that point to become who we were, right? And it's gonna take time to undo.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I don't even think there's a point where we're gonna be content. We're gonna have to keep it up because those thoughts are residue for me. They might not be like a loud voice telling me to do, but it's a whisper right now. But if I don't maintain it, that voice could get loud again. You know what I'm talking about when you have those thoughts. You know,
Yeah.
and like I like this one saying that they told me. It said a learned person is dead. You know what I mean? That means you know it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You ain't got no room to grow no more.
There was a point where I used to think I knew it all. Like I don't know why. But then I hit college, U.S. History 101 with all the wars, dates, and names. I said I don't know shit. You know, and that's what woke me up to stay open minded. You know, so yeah. But I appreciate you guys. It's a great, we had a great conversation about step 5.
Yes, sir.
We're right here on Hope and 12th.
Trying
to give hope to the hopeless, working the 12 steps. Prism Way Studios. And appreciate you, Frank, for joining us.
Frank the Tank.
I always appreciate your expertise.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You could tell he worked those steps for real.
You could tell he's serious about the
wouldn't-
steps
I
too. Look at
be
it.
out here if I didn't. I would not be out here.
All right.
All
All right. Until next time.
That's my
Until
boy
next
right
time.
there.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, buddy.